machinery.com or indeed.com for more information.
The Jason Gregor Show with Jason Strudwick on Edmonton Sports Leader, TSN 1260.
I chime in with the haven't people ever heard of. Closing a dance or no. It's much better to face these kinds of things with a sense of voice and rationality. I chime in, haven't people ever heard of. Closing a dance or no. Much better to face these kinds of things with a sense of.
Gregor, Strudwick, Connor Halley with you on a lovely Thursday afternoon. Time to go racing, and the Racing Report brought to you by CanTorque and their latest addition to their tool series, the mechanical and hydraulic flange spreader. Powerful, durable, and user-friendly. Get a demo today at CanTorque.com. Colin Livingston joins us once again, and there's lots going on. I'll say this. For the last year, some people argued that there maybe wasn't that much excitement in F1. It was predictable. Well, I don't think you can say that this year. It's been crazy, Colin. For you got Verstappen, you got Mercedes. The races have been back and forth. Hamilton's not dominating. Like, this might be early on the most exciting season in F1 in a long time.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty awesome. I mean, really, if you can't get excited or even moderately interested with what's going on, you're just never going to be a race fan. And that's fine. I mean, racing isn't for everyone, but for the fans who've been sitting back talking about how, F1 in fairly recent history was the guy who gets the pole is going to win the race. And it was pretty predictable to know who was going to win, and there wasn't a lot of passing on track. And I mean, there still isn't that much, but at the same time, the midfield battles have been awesome. We're watching a lot of rookies, kind of cut their way through. That realistically, the races are going to be won between Verstappen and Hamilton, but you also have to know that the secondary cars with Bottas and Perez are also going to be in contention. And when those guys are having off days, if they have incidents on track, then it's anyone's game. So, from an excitement standpoint, it can't be any better with the way the rules are right now. But they're definitely setting up for a great season. And when it comes to next year, when the new rules package and the new cars come in, I mean, it's going to be anyone's game at that point.
Colin, you touched on the midfield battles, and then for some younger drivers coming up, what kind of things do they have to learn, or do they learn in those mucky areas in the midfield that they're able to push themselves now to the top third of the group?
Yeah, I mean, for the newer drivers, the step from whatever they do to get to F1 is a massive step. It's not like anything else where, you're maybe in AAA ball where, the pitchers are throwing as hard, the guys can run, at the same speed, and they're just a little bit better at what they do. The step from things like F2 to F1 are monstrous. Generally speaking, when rookies come in, or younger drivers come in to F1, they're not with the better teams. They generally come in like, George Russell right now with Williams, they're definitely the second worst team for pure performance right now. George Russell is widely accepted as one of the better drivers in F1. He's, learning his craft. He's learning how to adjust to the world of F1 so that, eventually when it seems like the inevitable, when he moves over to Mercedes here as early as next year, he's going to be in a mindset where he's familiar with the tracks, the travel, the rest of it. And then he can really just get into an awesome performing car. We're seeing, one of the rookies right now, Yuki Tsunoda, he jumped into a pretty competitive team. Now they're a mid-pack team with the AlphaTauri, and he's got his hands full. One of the biggest mistakes that people make, I'm guilty of it as well. It's a hard thing to overcome is overdriving, which sounds kind of funny, but there's always a maximum threshold. And when you push too hard and you're too aggressive with your car, you slow down or you crash. Like with a Formula One car, when you go past that limit, it's it's never good. And I mean, Yuki has made a lot of really silly mistakes this year. Kid's a supremely talented driver, but one of the old adages in racing is it's pretty easy to teach a driver to slow down, but it's really difficult to teach a guy to go faster. And these guys are going to get it in time, but yeah, I mean that's where where they start shaking things out, is if you can have moderate performance with a mid-pack team, then you become in contention for the Ferrari, the Red Bull, the Mercedes.
Colin Livingston joins us in the CanTorque Racing Report. Let's switch over to IndyCar, and I don't know who did Penske annoy, because man, they've had the ultimate heartbreak this year in the last 3 races.
Man, it's a killer. There was a lot of speculation when Roger Penske bought IndyCar and bought Indianapolis Motor Speedway that they were, their teams were going to get preferential treatment, and are the rules going to be working in their favor and all the rest of it. I think, based on the fact that this is about the longest Penske's gone without a win, and let alone that, like, they've been in contention. The last 3 races they've had, Joseph Newgarden and Will Power have basically had the races in hand and should have driven off towards the end of the race and have the most obscure things. We talked last week about Will Power and his strange shutdown schedule on his car when they had to red flag, couldn't get the car refired, ends up finishing at the back. Last weekend, Road America, one of the greatest racetracks in the world, definitely one of the best in North America. Beautiful 4 mile long road course. Rolling hills, high speed corners, slow speed corners. It's got a little bit of everything. Newgarden didn't put a tire wrong, didn't make a mistake, ran a perfect weekend, pole position, was up front all weekend. Last, they mentioned a little blip that he had early in the race with his transmission. Didn't seem to, turn into too big of a deal. But then late race caution, restart, his transmission failed. He ended up again at the back of the pack, lost another awesome opportunity. I mean, the good news for Penske is their cars are quick right now. Bad news is they've got just a ton of bad luck. Obviously, they're doing a lot of right things, but the luck thing you just can't overcome.
Carl Livingston for the CanTorque Racing Report. Let's shift over to NASCAR, and you look at Kyle Larson. He just, is he unbeatable at this moment? If so, why?
Why? I mean, he's an exceptionally talented racer, and right now that team has got their hardware figured out. I mean, we've talked a lot about the Hendrick juggernaut the last couple of weeks. They've been just awesome, but Larson is the guy he's a full step ahead of the next closest driver within that group. Larson really in a league of his own, and what's super cool about this guy, and I'll keep saying it as long as we brought this guy up, he's not just racing on Sunday in Cup. Like, when he finishes his Cup level races, he goes and jumps in a dirt car and races for like $3,000. The funny thing was, he won the all-star race, the quote unquote all-star race, which came with $1 million prize. The next day he was in a dirt car, won that race, and it was a $6,000 total, bringing his 2-day total to $1,006,000. Like, the guy just loves racing. And right now he's absolutely untouchable.
Colin Livingston joins us in the CanTorque Racing Report. Yeah, he is pretty untouchable, that's for sure. Now, looking at a few things maybe closer to home, Colin, in the karting series, you guys got back on track. And is July, when are you guys going to be back to full racing? What's it looking like for the local karters?
Full racing for karting?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I honestly haven't been paying that much attention outside of our own Wednesday stuff. I think this weekend is the first EDKRA, like the main group.
Sorry, I meant just for you guys, for off-camber karters.
Oh yeah, no, we're back in full rotation now. We'll be running every Wednesday until I think the first week in September. We've normally when we start our season, we'll do like a race on, a race off, to let everyone have that recovery time. we get pretty good by the end of the year, but there's there's a big conditioning stint that most of us need at the beginning of the year to let our neck get strong, to let the muscles come back into shape. But because we got started late, we just chose to run every week. So I know there's a couple of guys that are feeling a little bit more beat up. But yeah, no, it was a great night of racing last night. A week ago was great racing. I mean, I'm pretty proud to say, I kind of sucked last night, but I got beat by a 16-year-old girl. So that was awesome.
That is awesome.
Which weight class are you in this year? Did you make your goal?
I did make my goal. I dropped back to 420 instead of being in 397 because even if I could get back to weight to run the lighter category, the group that we have that's really competitive there. I had a number of top 5 finishes last year, but it took absolutely everything I had just to stay within the draft of these guys. With additional duties now, because I've got a little distribution business, it's too hard to focus 100% on driving. And, really I'm having a lot more fun going back to the other weight class. Even if I'll continue to trim down throughout the year. My plan is to keep pushing with my trainer and putting the time in at the gym. I don't care if I have to bolt weight onto the car if I start getting too light. It's just a little bit more fun there. On my good days, I can still kind of sniff up at the front, but no, I'm way happier having a smile on my face than getting my nose bent too much out of shape because I don't have a chance.
So now when it's 420, does that mean that's the maximum weight or is that the minimum weight you need to have?
Those are minimum weights for the cart and driver when you come off track, and that's in pounds. So it's really only, a 23-pound difference, but for the most part, I'm running pretty high fuel loads just to make the minimum weight right now. A lot of the guys, I mean, some of our drivers are like 100. I mean, Devin, the young girl that smoked me last night. I mean, she can't be 120 pounds. They have to put a ton of weight on the cart to make minimum, which makes it even more challenging for her to drive. Like, not because, of her size or anything like that, but the cart doesn't perform properly when you've got that much weight on it. So yeah, again, we've got such a good group. I mean, I think we had something like 8 or 9 drivers in 420 last night. We had, 20 carts on track, and it felt like it was a quiet night, but 20 was our high watermark last year. So yeah, I mean, the year is shaping up to be really good. We've got a number of, either current or past professional drivers. Guys like me are kidding myself if I think I'm going to, compete with Matthew Taskinen or Noel Dowler or Griffin Dowler or any of those, Jared Freeston that, has gone to the Worlds in the past. Like, it takes an act of God and a lot of bad luck for them, for a guy like me to have any chance. But, it's not always about finishing up front. Like, we've got such a great group. To put it in perspective, when we were all done last night, we fired up the barbecue. Everyone has a cold drink and a burger and a dog, and we sit around and make jokes about where we made our mistakes and the massive brain fart that I had last night when I thought we were done after 2 heats, and I was undressed and packing my stuff up, and the folks asked why I wasn't making the final. I'm like, we're done. Like, nope, we got one more race to go, so I had to do a quick dress and head out to the track with my tail between my legs for being a bit of an idiot.
Oh, hey, good for you. Stay focused. Stay focused.
I wish I could.
Well, we'll see how the training goes this off season, or this season, I should say. And it's always hard to do that during the year. So good luck, and we'll talk to you next Thursday.
Appreciate it, guys.
There you go. That's Colin.
Thank you, Colin.
Always a pleasure, Connor.
You have a great week. We'll talk to you next week.
Yeah. What are you doing for a vacation?
We're just going to we have a timeshare in Fairmont.